Hello, everyone. Welcome to Good Journeys Tarot. I'm Rosemary, and today I thought I would share some about my first ever in-person divination conference with you. And along the way, I'll share some things that I've been doing and that have been happening, and just a little bit too much for the intro to one of my 78 cards in 78 weeks lives. And I wanted to share some of these thoughts with you. So, as I thought about going on this trip to StarCon 2022, I was really nervous because I've not flown in 20 years, and many things have changed in airports, as well as what you're allowed to pack, and also things have changed with me physically. So, I was not sure how safe I would feel flying and that type of thing. And so I actually did a little art project. I made a bind rune from Algiz, which is our protection rune, the moose. And then I added Wanju, which is our joy. And then Rido, the wheel. So basically, protection for good journeys. And you'll recognize the colors there, my sunflower and that blue from some of my social media. And so I took this with me. And I also took this piece of cinnamon with me, which I anointed with holy oil for about a week because Mercury retrograde was in full effect. For whatever reason, this weekend was the first time I'd ever experienced any data connectivity issues with my wireless carrier. And to make matters worse, the hotel Wi-Fi was not great at all. So, who has joined us? Well, I see Aquarius Owl is here. Welcome. So glad to have you. Along the way, talking about my journey to StarCon and back again, I'm going to share some little art projects and different things that have come in over the last few weeks. I did decide that while I was traveling, I always carry these 7 stones with me because I find that they have a myriad of uses. One use is that they there's one for each chakra, but also because of the stones I use, there's one that represents each thing on an altar. So, like, I have this citrine, which can be air, and I have this carnelian, which can be fire, and I have this green fuchsite, which can be earth, and this blue lapis lazuli, which could be water. And I can set those as 4 corners of an altar, and I can also have my masculine and feminine represented, as well as my spirit. And so it's just a quick, easy way to set up a little altar on the go if I want to. But I also did something the night before my trip. I just had this brainstorm. I'm like, you know what? Why not just have little altar thingies, right? And so I grabbed a toothpick and I stained it. Isn't that just the most basic one you've ever seen? And I have these little tiny vials that I thought would make a great chalice. So I took it with me. And I have some coins from various travels. This one is from the Philippines, and it actually has a butterfly on the back. And since I love butterflies, I decided to use it for my coin or pentacle. And then I actually made a blade, right? So I glued a screw to a nail, and I made myself a little athame for my on-the-go altar. So isn't that kind of neat? Yeah, teeny tiny one and sword and everything, right? So just something I did. The other thing that I did preparing to go on this trip was I made a notebook so I could just put all of my notes in it. One of the things I do periodically is I like to take really pretty wine labels if I can get them off the bottles and use them in my notebooks or in my journals as like art. And I really loved this one that said intrinsic. It kind of looked like someone practicing some kind of craft. And I added the ohm and the star as additional artwork and meaning for me for my own notebook. But I don't know if you've ever thought about doing something like that. I know people do collage all the time from magazines and pictures from online and whatnot. But have you ever taken a wine label or part of a label and repurposed it? People repurpose bottles all the time, but have you ever thought about doing a wine label? I do it pretty frequently, and I do love it. So the next task for me after packing everything for my trip and getting over my anxiety was I needed to figure out what decks to take, right? Because I have 80 decks now, right? And I'm like, I can't take them all. And I want to make sure that I have one that, is going to resonate as I'm studying that weekend. And for me, normally I just grab the deck that's speaking to me at the moment. And I didn't know what moment I was going to have. So I decided to take one basic deck, like a deck that just is pretty standard. So I took the deck of the Bastard, which you guys have seen before, mainly because it was plastic and I didn't want to spill food or drink or anything on my paper cards when I was out at restaurants and everything. And so I just used this if I needed something kind of Waite Smith or Marseille based, to kind of study with. But I also took the Numinous Tarot with me because I have been really wanting to dig into this deck and study it. And because I've been working so much with the Spirit Keepers Tarot, I thought this would be a great opportunity for me to play around with this deck. And I took it out because I wanted to talk to you about something that I did this weekend, which in a bit, and I'm going to use these cards for it. And then I also took my Poises Oracle with me, which I didn't end up using my Oracle deck because it's all about the tarot. I don't really work with Oracle decks that much. It's a beautiful deck. It's one of the few Oracle decks that kind of speak to me. I feel like the keywords go with the imagery, and the imagery is abstract enough for me to get hit in my brain off of. And so I took it with me, but I didn't actually use the Oracle deck. So, c'est la vie. So, yeah, I did go to StarCon. So, StarCon is actually a hybrid event. So, I was there in person in Florida, and they were also having the event on Excel Events online. And in fact, we have 30 days that we can continue to participate online and catch all of the things we missed because there were multiple events going on at once. And so I think that's really great. The only advantage to being there in person was one, I got the printed program, which, it's nice. It has some things in it. There's a spread, which is actually kind of cool that we did at the beginning of the weekend. And then Christiana Gaudet, who is the hostess and the coordinator of the convention, gave everybody who was present a little notebook to take notes in, which is got her cards and craft business on the front of it there with a little pen. And so that was nice. But as far as swag, it was mainly just discounts online, right? So, and I find usually when places offer discounts that they barely, if they do, cover the shipping at all. So it's really not that really beneficial. We had a trade table. So people brought things they wanted to get rid of, and I took some things I wanted to get rid of, and we kind of, swapped out and everything. I actually had the chance to grab two decks that I have had on my list for a long time. One is the Fenestra Tarot, which I ended up not getting because after I sorted through it and I looked at it, I realized, I have a deck that actually has the same kind of feel and energy to it. That's the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot, which I know a lot of you have seen. It's very beautiful. But unlike the Fenestra, this one doesn't have like a third of it taken up with like decoration at the bottom of the cards. That's kind of irritating. So I did not get that deck. And the other one I didn't grab was the Deviant Moon because I said, oh, let me run back to my room and get my decks that I'm giving away, and then I'll grab it when I get back. Well, by the time I got back, it was gone. So, but I did get this deck. And it may look familiar to some of you. This is the Mystic Garbage. And you're saying, Rosemary, you already have that deck. I do. I have that deck. So the difference being that this deck was the first edition from the Kickstarter, and it came shrink wrapped, just like this. That's all you get, with this glittery edging on it, which when you first get it is kind of rough, but it's actually smoothed out with use. And so I had been wanting to get a copy of this deck since it was reprinted, to see the little white book, and see what the author had to say about some of the images in the deck. And so I'm very glad that I was able to finally get it and get that. But also, I think I prefer this cardstock, even though this cardstock is great. It's really smooth. This one has the holographic edges, so it's nice and smooth and pretty. But this cardstock also, I don't know, it shuffles just beautifully. It's not too thick, it's not too thin. It bends reasonably well. I do love shuffling it, and I like that I have a box for it. I actually prefer boxes to bags, and so I was very grateful to have gotten this, and have enjoyed working with it on Saturday during the convention. And then, of course, there were speakers there that presented all weekend. I'm going to share my screen here real quick with you and show you some photographs. Here, you're going to see me taking pictures out of the plane because I love the patterns that are made when you fly over the land, with all the roads and the fields and the things like that. And so this was just flying into Palm City Beach. And here is our hostess, Christina Gaudet. In addition to having an all-day session with Christiana, in which I was able to work with my Numinous Tarot a lot. We also had classes with people like Sasha Graham. Her class was just fantastic. In fact, I grabbed one of the decks that she had there with her, which is a RWS deck. It's the Tarot Vintage, because I just love it. It is basically a recoloring of the Los Scarabaeo's Dirty Pam. It has the same beautiful backs in a different color. I love this color variation. I'm looking for like a sepia ink to put on the edges of it. The main reason I got it was because Sasha was there and she had done the little white book. So she signed the little white book, but she also wrote in my box, says, "This contains magic." You might be familiar with her current book that she's promoting, I believe is Magic in Tarot or Magic of Tarot. It's escaping me at the moment. Yes, and so it was great to get to see her and chat with her. She is a great storyteller. I've got one of her books coming later this week, so I'll probably share that with you on Sunday during my live. I also got to finally meet the one and only Mitchell Osborne. You'll probably recognize him from around YouTube and Instagram. He is just a great guy. We had some great conversations over meals all weekend, and it was really great to put people's voices and faces with their names online. It's very different experience to meet people in person than when you do it online. The location we were at, the hotel had some beautiful scenery around it. This was actually in the courtyard around near the pool. And I call this my earth shot. And so later, when I was having dinner one night, I took the air shot and the fire shot and the water shot. Yeah. Christiana and I found the Wheel of Fortune while we were out for dinner on our last night there. And I don't know about you guys. Is anyone out there like see tarot cards out in the world around them? So this is something that I did a while back, like 3 years ago. I started a photo of the day tarot deck in which I was taking photographs or using photographs I had taken to represent the various tarot cards. And if you want to chat about that, share some of yours, please do go to Facebook and join Good Journeys into Tarot, the Facebook group, where we chat about all things related to my videos and tarot in general. In fact, later today, I will share this image, which is, of course, the Hermit. It's actually an abstract painting in the lobby of the hotel that we were at, and the lamp that was by the chair below it. And it just, to me, screamed Hermit. And so I had to share that with everyone. Yeah. Hi, Scott. So glad to see you here. And Debbie. Just sharing some of the things I got at the convention, some of the things I learned, the people I saw, and how I kind of felt about it. I did get What Other Deck, and for some reason, the picture did not show earlier, but I have a picture with the creator of this deck. It may not be as familiar to some of you. It is the Tarot for Empaths and Reiki and Energy Healers. It's called the Lightworkers Deck. It is by Grace. Grace, I think, is her name. And she is going to be on my channel in the next few weeks talking about this deck. One of the reasons you don't see it a lot is that this deck is specifically linked to membership in her tarot learning site. It is designed to be a learner's deck. And right now it is at the best price that you're going to ever get it. And you get to be a member of her site and take her training class for the next year, which is kind of cool. I haven't checked out the site yet. It's Tarot Skills. And but the cards are actually kind of cool. And there were some interesting concepts on them that I liked. Like, she did do one of the things that I've always wanted to do, which was represent the element on the cards, which she did at the bottom. Some of them have the mountain for the earth, or they have the flames for the fire. You have blue water, those types of things. Hi, Donna, welcome. And the images are really pretty. It's kind of photo collage. Another unique thing about this deck is that the indications whether the card would mean yes or no if you were doing a yes or no poll, which is not something everyone does, but every now and again I do, and I have to really think about it, because sometimes the cards, which typically in cartomancy, like reading with playing cards, that would mean no, in the tarot actually mean yes. And so I think that's an interesting concept. The other thing that she did is that she put a key phrase on it, and the key phrases are reversible. So the reverse reads upright, and the upright reads upright. So I thought that was kind of interesting. There are some things that are probably not as great about the deck, which I'll talk about when I do a full walkthrough of it. But that is one of the decks that I did acquire this weekend that I was excited about. One of the things I focused on this weekend for myself was practicing reading more intuitively. So, like, normally when I read tarot, it's very analytical. It's like, okay, these are the meanings of the cards. Here's how they relate to one another. Here's how they relate to the situation that I'm asking about. I don't so much look at the images and say, okay, what does this say to me? But it's something I'm trying to do more and more. And interestingly, I was able to do that with the Numinous Tarot pretty easily. These two cards came up in a reading. This is the Eight of Pentacles, and this is the Seven of Pentacles. And they came up, the Eight, and there was a card in the middle, which I can't remember what it was right now. And then the Seven at the end. And normally when I would pull these up, I would look at the Eight and think that was about, like, mastering your craft, about practicing your skill and that type of thing. And then I would think of the Seven as, that space of having put in the work and waiting for the result. But when I saw these specific images, this one in particular, my thought was that, there's way too much going on, just one too many pans in the fire, so to speak, was what I got from this image that just hit me. Like when I saw it, it was like, there's one too many things going on right now. And, you need to simplify and you need to focus on the one thing. Right. And so, and that's not really the meanings of these cards, but that was the feeling that they gave off at that time when I saw them side by side. And I was just looking at those images, and that really resonated with me, more so than perhaps the normal analytical reading of it. So, really practicing with that kind of intuitive practice is what I was going for. And I kind of got that out of my trip. Let's see, what else shall I share? So have any of you ever been to a divination convention or done one online? Now, I have actually done 2 online prior to this. One of them was this same convention, StarCon 2021, and the other was the World Divinations Association did a event last year. Some things that conventions have in common are like, whether they're online or they're in person, is that sometimes the subject matter and description of the topic in their materials does not end up matching what actually happens in the class. And I don't know if that's happened to any of you at a convention, not even divination conventions, but like sci-fi fantasy conventions, any kind of convention I've ever been to. There's always been that one class, that you get where it says it's about ABC, and you get in there and it's about XYZ. And it may be vaguely related to ABC, but it's a stretch to get there, right? There was, like I said, some trouble with the internet in the hotel, which is fine. We'll get to actually enjoy these things over the next month online as well. But overall, it was a great experience. I have missed being in person, interacting with other people, and getting to know them one-on-one. And one of the reasons I went ahead and did this convention in person was that I was connected with most of these people online, and so I knew that the majority of them were vaccinated, and I knew that we were going to have open space there where we could, distance and that type of thing. And so I felt reasonably comfortable doing it. Plus, I've got all my shots, and so I'm not as worried as I used to be, though I'm still taking proper precautions as much as possible. Let's see. We talked about tarot skills, and somewhere up here I have some. Oh, I think my cat has rearranged everything for me. Don't you just love that? Oh, I did get this bracelet. So, and I was looking for her card to show you, but this is from Soultopia. Soultopia is owned by wow, my poor brain. Welch is her last name. Michelle, I think, is her first name. Michelle Welch. But she started out making these bracelets, which are based on the major arcana cards. This is actually the Chariot, which was the card that's kind of like been forefront of my readings in my brain this year so far. That idea of pushing forward, of moving forward in the direction that the divine has already called me into. And so you'll see there's the howlite and the tourmaline for our horses on there, and then you've got tiger's eye, preite, and hematite on here as well. And so that's why I grabbed it, because I have to come back with something, right? I can't just go somewhere and not buy something. Anybody else like that? Raise your hand. So, it was fun. I did the whole day intensive with Christiana Gaudet on Friday, which focused on magic and tarot, something that I've done off and on. For example, when you pull cards and you get one that just like you're like, oh, I don't want that card. You really don't like the energy of that reading. You know, change a card. Set the intention. Okay, I'm going to work towards this being the new outcome, right? Um, this is what's possible, when I do my reading. But okay, if I don't like that, my choices are going to shape my future, right? So um, I'm practicing that over on Instagram this week with my daily card polls, looking at what energy I can add to that to achieve the things that I want to, right? It's about our intention and about setting our direction for the future. The cards are going to give us some ideas, but our future is not set. We can alter it with our choices and our own practices and decisions. So like today was the wheel for my card of the day, and the wheel being about cycles and movement and um, that journey that we're on. And I decided, I want to add something to that. I want to add some clarity today because I really need to be focused. I need to be clear headed and um, because of the work I was doing earlier. And so I said, okay, in addition to the wheel, I'm adding the Ace of Swords to my morning draw. And so I did that. And this morning, as I was working through something that normally would take me days and cause me no end of frustration, I did it in an hour and a half. I was completely focused. I had ideas that had never crossed my mind in 3 years of doing this work. And I was able to get it done. And it was because I set that intention and I intentionally added that energy to my life. And so that's just an exciting thing. And that came up several times in several classes this weekend. I also got to hear from my brain when I'm going to talk doesn't work. Anybody else have that? Jamie Alford. Jamie Alford was there, and she shared some from her book, A Tarot Inspired Life. And that was a lot of fun. Beverly Frabel spoke about Ogum, which is something, or Oum, which is something I've started studying. Have noticed earlier in my artwork I shared where there is an Oum there, and there it goes. That I added. That specific OM is one that comes up for me a lot when I'm working with my ancestors, when they're letting me know that they're protecting me and encouraging me in the work that I'm doing and the things that I'm doing, which is why I had added it to this when I did it. Had some really great meals with some really fantastic people while I was there. My flight went so smoothly. It was amazing. I've never had such easy trips in my life as I had going and coming back. And I think that was because I put so much intention into preparing myself to have a smooth journey. Because ordinarily I would have been stressed out the whole time and upset. And by the time I got there, I had been ready to get back home. Um, but it just all flowed. Everything worked. I made a lot of new friends who, some of whom have popped in off and on lives that we've had. And I got to meet them in person. Hopefully, we will see them around this weekend when we have our next 78 cards in 78 weeks. And let me just go back up here again and share that. So that is going to be the world this week. And in case that you have not seen it anywhere yet, I have a variety of social media platforms, not just YouTube, but also Instagram and Facebook, all wearing Good Journeys Tarot, and a website, goodjourneystarot.com. And if you go to Instagram and check out my link tree, you'll actually be able to see all of the things that I'm doing, as well as how you can support my work here on YouTube, as well as get readings from me. I don't tend to do a great job of promoting myself, so I thought I'd take the opportunity today to tell you about all of those things. If you're not already a member of Good Journeys into Tarot over on Facebook, do join, do share your thoughts about tarot conventions and conferences, your experiences with them if you've had any, as well as images that you see in everyday life that remind you of tarot cards, like the one that I shared earlier today. I hope that you guys have gotten anything out of this today other than me rambling about what was truly an awesome experience. I really don't want to go into too much detail about the specific classes, because I know those authors and those creators uh, own their own information, and they'll share it through the various means that they have. But it was really great to actually see people in person and talk with people face to face about tarot interacting in our lives. And it was also good to receive some validation, right, from other people, your peers, like Danielle Christmas, who is sometimes on my lives and my videos commenting, uh, like grilled me Saturday night at the banquet about tarot, and at the end she's like, "Okay, I'm convinced you're Danielle certified now." Not that that's a thing, but just know that that someone recognizes I know what I'm talking about, because sometimes you feel like you're just talking into the void. Am I right? So, thanks everyone who popped in for this live today. I hope you've enjoyed my rambling about prepping for the convention and attending the convention, and some of the things I got out of the convention. If you missed the first part, feel free to hop back to the beginning when I leave and see the goodies that I acquired, which I'll probably be sharing throughout the next couple of weeks. But do join me Sunday for our discussion of the World card. I'm very excited about this. This is what I have been thinking about for a long time. And oddly enough, this card has come up repeatedly for me over the last week reading at StarCon. So we've got an interesting quarter to look to. If my tarot readings are any indication. Have a great day, everyone, and good journeys.